From its appearance, this job fair looks like it could be somewhere in Asia, only it's in New York, and the applicants are a diverse mixture of Chinese Americans, overseas Chinese, and others who share two things in common. They all have backgrounds in finance, and they are all considering moving to China for work.
I would be willing to go and spend some time living in China. I started working in finance and sell-side equity research. In January of this year, I got laid off when the economy started to take a turn for the worse. While I was in school, I did have some experience spending some time working in Shanghai.
I think the current financial situation is definitely a factor in my decision-making because the further layoff might come in my firm. So I'm really trying to create a safety net for myself.
Back in Beijing, I met with Hong Chen, CEO of global investment bank, the Heine Group. He's busy sending out a memo to senior staff of his company, asking them to keep a lookout for foreign talent.
In the last few weeks, we've already talked to quite a few people from Bear Stearns, from Merrill Lynch. We're more interested in people who are more senior, managing directors, executive directors, or VP level people who already have experience in Wall Street.
Some people haven't waited for Chinese companies, but have traveled to China in search of jobs.
About 75% of my work was in mergers and acquisitions, and worked for investment banking for 4 years in New York. The layoff started the first quarter of 2008. I studied Chinese for 4 years. So I had the background in Chinese. I'm still new to Beijing. I am planning trips to Hong Kong and Shanghai to meet with recruiters and parts of my network. I've got two friends, they're former investment bankers, and they're out here doing something very similar.
Yet despite recruiting efforts for foreign talent by Chinese financial firms, huge barriers still exist for foreigners looking to work in China. Nicholas Topgen has been VP of private Chinese investment arm Sun Media for 3 years.
It takes a certain type of foreigner to be able to work in a Chinese environment. You have to be willing to immerse yourself. 98% of communication is in Chinese. When we attend meetings, it'll be 15 Chinese colleagues and myself. So there is a requirement really to be able to follow discussions about business planning, business presentations in Chinese.
Liz Abb left her job at Lehman Brothers in New York for a consulting firm in Beijing.
It took me 2 months, I would say, to even be able to pronounce the name of my university. Like for somebody to tell me something in Chinese and for me to even really be able to hear it and repeat it, just because it's such a foreign language.
Additionally, foreigners who land jobs in state-run Chinese finance companies will face a glass ceiling, as senior management of such companies are appointed by the personnel department of the Communist Party. Given these drawbacks, it is mostly people born and raised in China that have come to America to live and work that are most enthusiastic about the prospect of going back home to work for Chinese firms.
For me, going back to China is a no-brainer. I came to America to get work experience, but I'm originally from Shanghai. I've always intended on going back, so they don't need to persuade me.
Oh,